Hi, I'm Marco,
Hi, I'm Jenna.
and welcome to a new episode of
For the love of sport.
Marco and Jenna. I mean, come on.
Give it up.
For cute.
Oh, for cute. It was pretty cute.
Who was?
The outtakes were cute too.
Yes.
Watching
absolutely.
them. They were a little nervous, which was cute.
It was awesome. Big shout out to Jenna and to Marco, our interns, who helped us out with podcasts, among other things, here at SportsEngine, but wanted to give them their cred where credit's due and a chance to do the cold open, which they did. And they did with flying colors. They
did.
kept it traditional.
They did. They didn't
do any bits.
They certainly didn't do any bits. So maybe we should take some advice on the bits.
But they did pretty good. But everybody, welcome back. This is a special Sideline Short episode, a special mini-series episode called Sideline Shorts, where we shine a spotlight on the most inspiring and unique youth sport organizations out there. Each episode, we explore how these organizations are not just playing the game, but changing the game, enhancing the youth experience in innovative and impactful ways. And what do we have today?
We have Kyle from Sunshine Volleyball, which isn't a perfect name. It is a volleyball organization based in Southern California. So I'm sure they get a bit of sunshine down there. Someone who uses, our SportsEngine technology day in, day out. So it's just fun to talk to those people who are the ones they're in it.
Yes.
They're running it.
They do.
And their volleyball organization is impressive.
It's
the slate of elite athletes that have come from that volleyball organization
the accolades, the awards, the teams, the people. It's a testament to Kyle and the team that he's created and the history of his coaching instruction, taking all that knowledge and crafting a really cool culture at Sunshine. And he is a wealth of knowledge, not just from a volleyball perspective, but from a coaching and instructor's perspective too. And he was great to talk to.
Yeah.
So let's leave it at that. Kyle. All right, joining us here today is Kyle Weindel, is the Associate Club Director and Coach for Sunshine Volleyball Club, which is really the premier girls volleyball club in Southern California. First established in 1998, Sunshine Volleyball Club is consistently one of the top clubs in the nation, competing at the highest level, and it's beyond impressive and a testament to the continued leadership and sustainability, the culture that Kyle and his team have continued and instilled to this day. Their accolades include, ready for this, Marie?
I'm ready.
150 plus bids to junior nationals, 25 top 5 placements in junior national finishes, and countless Division 1, 2, and 3 collegiate recruits that include AVCA All-Americans, AVCA Player of the Year, NCAA Champions, NCAA Regional Players of the Year. We're excited to talk to Kyle about the mission of Sunshine Volleyball Club, how he got started with the club in the first place, the exciting things that he's doing, how they cultivate their culture day in, day out, train their athletes as a whole to develop their mind, body, and spirit. But all that said, and maybe some roasting here in the future for us for rescheduling so many times. We're sorry about that, Kyle. Kyle Weindel, thank you so much for joining the For the Love of Sport podcast.
Oh, thanks for having us. Thanks for having me, and finally we're able to meet up.
Yes.
It's my fault. It's my fault for a variety of reasons. Let's just place it all on me. But we're so excited to talk to you, and thank you again for joining us here today. But I think if we start anywhere, we always like to start with just the connective experience of sport and youth sports in general, and want to dive into your own youth sport experience.
Taking you way back, I went to college at Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana, and during
Cardinals?
my time, the Cardinals, yes. During my time there, I was part of this extremely large volleyball community, Ball State men's volleyball. It was started in the 60s by Dr. Don Shondell, and his volleyball tree has extended now over several generations, where there are now coaches at what seemed like everywhere, NCAA, in the club world, and everything in between. And little did I know at the time that I would then be part of that 25 years later.
Wow.
And while I was at Ball State doing undergrad and graduate school, I connected with Munciana Volleyball Club, started somewhat in conjunction, I think, with Ball State men's volleyball back in the 60s, but flash forward to the 70s, that coaching tree grew exponentially through the club. I got involved with Munciana in my early 20s, never really thinking that coaching was going to be a career or something that I did for the rest of my life or for the next 20 years. I learned a lot about teaching and a lot about not just coaching, but developing the athletes. And here I am 20 years later, and through the contacts, I was able to get jobs across the country at different universities, and then kind of fell into this role at Sunshine Volleyball Club. Yeah, 2018, my boss, Mick Haley, retired from USC. Kerry Klein, the owner of Sunshine Volleyball Club, had attended a number of our practices at the time. We became friends. Once Mick retired, for all intents and purposes, the entire staff lost their job at USC. She invited me into the gym to help with Sunshine. I had then got a job at the University of New Mexico through another Ball State connection, Jeff Nelson. After a year, really 6 months at New Mexico, Jeff was not retained at New Mexico. Out of happenstance, Kerry called me and asked me if I wanted to come back to Sunshine. I explained kind of what had happened. I explained that I wanted this to be a full-time job and not something I just did at night. Been used to being in the volleyball world 24/7, that it seemed like a natural transition for me. It took her about a month or so, and they were able to create this job for me, which I am really thankful for. It started when I got back to Los Angeles. It started more as a gym guy, where I was doing primarily coaching and training of the players. I had some administrative duties that I could do during the day. And as that evolved, there were some parents that were involved in the administrative side, that kids graduated. They didn't really want to keep working for the club. So I absorbed more and more administrative duties. Now the 6-7 years have progressed. I, for better or worse, am doing less on the volleyball side, but running more of the day-to-day operations of the club. And here I am today.
Yeah, I love how your story, I think a lot of people's stories, but you were talking through, like, it all kind of started with your connections and you working, obviously growing up with Ball State, going there, making connections, and a lot of the things you did after that all kind of stemmed from there. Can you talk about, like, were you intentional in creating those connections, or did it kind of just happen and kind of led you to where maybe you are today?
It just kind of happened because where I was and being involved with the volleyball program at Ball State, alumni are around, Munciana is around. It's just right down the street. And it was 18 to 22-year-old guys that went to Ball State to play volleyball. We were these volley dorks that were in it and loved what we were doing. And we got a degree, and I never thought that it would be a career that I would want to continue to do. And graduate school, I was asked to be a volunteer assistant at St. Louis University with connections that I made through Munciana. Ann Cordes, whose father had started Kiva in Louisville, Kentucky, had gotten that job, and I had met them through Munciana and doing camps and clinics at Kiva. And she took me in for 6 months. And then lo and behold, another friend had become the head coach at Ohio University, Ryan Tice. He invited me to join his staff in 2007. So it just keeps snowballing from there.
I know you mentioned that this is not something that you would consider or thought that you'd be doing full time, but it's really powerful how the connections you make over the course of time, whether it's through your work or just the relationships that you make, can cultivate these opportunities. You have a established connection with volleyball, and I have like 2-3 questions that I want to ask at once, and I'll tone it down to one. What sort of things, if you can really kind of pull back and maybe look back at yourself while you're maybe performing these duties, whether it's just in the gym with all these different connections you have, what sort of things do you think made a lasting impact with the people that were in your network that made you top of mind for them to go, oh, I have this new opportunity, I need to reach out right away to Kyle?
The volleyball school, so to speak, that I came from is all about teaching, and it was created, or Munciana was created by teachers that had went to Ball State to become teachers and physical education teachers, and they think that they perfected the way to teach volleyball. And there's a million ways to teach volleyball, and their style, they've become really good at teaching that over the years, now 40 plus years of doing it, and learning how they did that, the level of expectation they hold their athletes to. I think that progressed my coaching career from one school to the next. And then whatever I was tasked at doing at those universities, I wanted to be really good at. At Ohio University, defense, middle blockers, and team blocking was my thing. And I wanted to be really good at that. So I devoted the time to figure out ways to teach the athletes better ways to either be a middle blocker or better ways to teach and communicate the skills necessary that were important to have great team defense and great team blocking. And I like to think that from there until now, I try to use the resources that I have to either come up with better ways, develop better ways to run the club, or teach the teams that I do have to play or act or operate in a way that is the best way to play. Sunshine has always been big hitters, great servers, play hard on defense. Learning from Mick Haley at USC is being the best teaching staff. Whoever your assistant coaches are, whoever the head coaches, just be the best teachers, and the rest will be easy. Coming from Munciana and how they teach ball control and passing and defense, it's all about that level of expectation you have for your athletes. As an athlete myself, I naturally had that. And then going past my own self and my own expectations, how to best train the kids that we have now at Sunshine, through just knowing that when you play Sunshine, they're going to serve tough and they're going to hit really hard and they're going to be really good at defense. Continuing that legacy and improving kids where we can, either by educating our coaches or taking them through camps and clinics. We have Olympians, we have college coaches, we have international coaches that all have their unique styles and ways they coach, and we can all hopefully mesh at the end of the day and have these great players.
Yeah, I love what you said there. And obviously, I think it's so important for organizations to have a set culture or mission or what you guys stand for. And I think you kind of mentioned that. Obviously, you want your coaches to be the best teachers they can be. You want the athletes to hold, this standard. And obviously what you guys are doing is clearly working through all the accolades that Simon mentioned. But did that go into it? So when you were transitioning and Carrie reached out to you and you started working with Sunshine and then, left and came back, was that part of your process of your previous beliefs kind of fit in with Sunshine? Or was there a little bit of here's what I have to offer, I think I can help improve it, but I also respect kind of what you guys are doing and where you've always been?
I think it was a little bit of both. The familiarity. I'm a little bit of a creature of habit. I don't take a huge number of risks in my life in general. So having those relationships, knowing a bunch of coaches on staff, it was an easy choice because I needed a job, scrutinized by myself on, is this something I really want to do? Up until that point, it seemed like every 4 years I was moving to take another job, and I wanted the next move to be the last move. Long-term, not have to worry about continuing to chase jobs and job hunt, and wanted to be somewhere to help build and help be a part of that family. And I think I hit a home run with that. I think we're incredibly close. Certainly days that we all don't get along from a leadership group standpoint. The best intentions.
Who specifically? Call them out right now. Tell me who specifically. Just kidding.
I was going to say, any good family, there's a little bit of friction sometimes.
Right? Of course, and we all have different roles and different jobs, and our other staff's jobs either can make their job easier. Sometimes it makes it harder, and we don't always want to make things harder. We want to be as efficient as we can with our time, and really we have to scrutinize the decisions, because now as Sunshine is growing in uncharted territory with now 50 plus teams, we have a volleyball lab that specializes in just lessons and small group training all year. We have a South Bay location. We have a West Side location, which is our biggest location and the original location.
If I remember, Kyle, so I was out in LA last year and got a chance to meet Carrie, and I think she was talking about this, but like those like lessons and training camps that you guys have, like you have people like flying in to come attend them. Is that correct? Am I speaking out of turn, or is that accurate? Like
we have a college exposure camp
okay.
In June almost every year, and it sells out in about 5 minutes at almost every position and every age group between 9th grade and 11th grade. I think our biggest niche is high academics. A lot of the private schools, and even some of the public schools are all very high academics. So if we're talking about Ivy League, if we're talking about the Northwesterns, the MITs, NYUs, Michigan, USC, UCLA, Stanford, just to name a few, those are the schools that are invited or typically want to come to our camp because we're talking about the most elite student athletes. Our players can go to a higher level academic school than they sometimes could athletically. So we have to marry the two and find good fits for those players that maybe can go to school at a Harvard or to Yale, or could go to school at Stanford, but maybe aren't quite the Stanford prototypical volleyball player. We do have 2 student athletes there now, but everybody wants to go to Stanford, and Stanford volleyball is looking for a very specific type of player. And we have a lot of kids that could attend there academically, but not necessarily athletically. So finding that right niche is important to us, and something that we really are proud of and strive to do a really good job with. We now are encompassing all schools. So we have more players than ever that are going to maybe a Cal State Northridge or a Miami of Ohio, or now it's all over, and not just the high academic student athletes. As we grow, and we always send 25 or 26 kids to college every year to play college volleyball. This year we only have one 18s team. The last 3 years we've had 2, and we've sent all those players somewhere on some type of scholarship, either academically or athletically, to compete on those schools' volleyball programs.
Maintaining this level of sort of expertise, maintaining this level of success, and I think when you're like this premier club, do you ever feel like there's maybe not necessarily you, but anybody else within the staff, whether that's coach or administrative, that feels a sort of like pressure? And like, what sort of strategies do you guys employ to like just make sure you stay at a standard of excellence and then keep that moving forward without any concern or worries or pressures?
I think there is a little bit of pressure. I think that as we are expanding, this is all new territory for us. From a managerial standpoint, hiring more staff, hiring more coaches. How can we educate the new coaches that might not have as much experience? Because as every club grows, I think the coaches that you hire, not everyone's going to be a former Olympian or a former NCAA All-American or have 25 years of coaching. So we have to do a good job of educating the coaches as we add more kids. They're not all elite volleyball players, and that's okay. We're in the business of creating opportunities, and we want to provide as many opportunities as we can. So the kid and the family that might be on a 1s team is just as important as the kid that's on a 5th or 6th team. We want to cultivate those families and those relationships on team 5 and 6 just as much as team 1. And we want everyone to have a good experience while they're at Sunshine, no matter what level they are. Carrie Klein, the club owner, that's part of her original mission is providing opportunities. And as an extension of her, I want all of our families to have that good experience. And that's maybe the pressure or The hardest part of the job is making sure that that happens with everyone.
I like what you said about maybe fine tuning of maybe when you feel the pressure of fine tuning to like, let's apply that pressure, because there's a mindset of like pressure and stress can be enhancing. So why don't I just focus that maybe pressure I'm feeling towards just providing a good experience? Let's just start there. Same thing with coaching and same thing with what you have here. I think you guys have certainly helped sustain a level of excellence too. And people want to tap into that secret sauce and just like, tell me how I can do this. But maybe one good step is starting small with just, let's provide a good, solid experience.
That reputation and that word of mouth is very powerful, because one person tells two people and they tell two people and they tell two people. It's very systemic in that regard of, we want positive things to come out of people's mouths about their experience and how they were taken care of. Carrie Klein has now 25, 26, 27 years of running this club. It has built up over these years, and people know what they're going to get. And that allows us to continue to build every team and pull now some of the most elite players from our area to come play at Sunshine. And a lot of times it's a real sacrifice for kids and parents that want to come and play at Sunshine that are outside of that 7 to 10 mile radius. And that's a hard sell for some of these athletes and families of, why should we come to Sunshine? We have 4 other clubs that are closer, and we won't get home at 11 o'clock at night. Well, this is why this is beneficial for us. Oh, she wants to go play in college? Well, this is our specialty. She's a 4.5 GPA with AP classes. That's great. This is where we specialize. This is the experience that we think that she could have while she's here at Sunshine. And that's the hard sell. It's just like recruiting in the NCAA.
Like, you guys know who you are. You've gone, obviously you said 27 years of, being there, and you've set the kind of guardrails of like, here's what we're about and here's what we're not about. And it gives people who are interested a chance to really understand who you are based on the reputation that's been built over all these years, right? I think sometimes people try to be everything to everyone to get every single best player that they possibly can. And that's kind of hard to fit the needs of everyone. Being clear about, here's what we can do and provide for you. And, we'll take care of your athlete if they choose to come here.
We're in a really interesting or unique, we're getting kids from almost Orange County to drive to our South Bay location. And we have kids in Ventura County or even in Santa Barbara that'll come to our West Side Malibu Valley location. I mean, that's 135 miles from north to south.
Yeah. Wow.
And there's so many different types of people. There's so many socioeconomic groups in that. And we have to marry them all under this one Sunshine conglomerate while being fair, equitable. Our core beliefs of providing opportunities and providing an elite club level experience is something that carries over to all of our locations.
So obviously you said you came over in, what was it, 2018, kind of more in a more permanent way?
Yeah, 2018, right before COVID.
Awesome. So you got to see it before and after, which is always a fun little a fun little test. But I guess obviously you wear many hats throughout this. You do a lot of the admin work now. I'm sure you still get a chance to interact with a lot of the athletes and coach too. What have been, maybe if you could pick, I'm sure you have a lot at the top of your list of like memorable moments or moments where you look back and you're like, man, I'm so happy I'm doing this as my career. Like, have you had some of those where you can just like take a step back and really appreciate what you get to do every day?
Yeah, I think the growth of the club has been something that we all work hard to do. And to see the transition of the year before COVID, the year of COVID that got cut short, then I think everyone was nervous coming back of when's the right time to start club sports. Well, Sunshine had shrunk just like a lot of the other clubs across the country. And we've had to kind of claw and fight our way back. 25, 30 teams to now over 50 teams. And that growth, I know that I'm certainly very proud of. Getting to interact with our families is always so cool. We have so many families from so many different walks of life, from the Hollywood studios to police officers, firemen, and everything in between. And getting to hear about their jobs and their lives is so cool. I now am seeing players that maybe have served over the net for the first time. This is the case of my 15 and under team this year. When I first came to Sunshine, some of those players were on a 10, 11-year-old team, couldn't serve the ball over the net, overhand from behind the end line. And then towards the end of the year, they did it. And now they're freshmen in high school, and seeing them develop has been super cool from just a coaching standpoint, and seeing how they've developed as young women. And it'll be fun to see how they transition throughout high school and they change. And then where are they going to go to college? I've never been anywhere to really experience that level of change. And it's been so cool the longer I am at Sunshine to really see the kids grow up and see our families having 10-year-olds to now college age kids. It's really kind of cool. I've been lucky enough to be a part of, even just for a small fraction of time throughout the day.
It's a really unique experience to nurture and develop talent, and then watch and get to see it blossom and grow, and then go from there. It's a really, really unique and amazing experience, and kudos to you for the work that you guys are doing there, for sure. And I think as we look to the future, like, there's always this point of maybe fearing a plateau when you're an organization of, like, you've got your programs in place, you have your coaches in place, you're developing a pretty good culture, but then you don't want to grow stagnant. So you want to try to innovate and try new things and expand if possible. And I'm wondering if you could talk to us about your own maybe thoughts or even goals that the club has for the future, and how they plan to achieve them, or workshopping process of, like, we think this is going to be a cool experience. What do we need to, like, map out before we even try to introduce it?
We always want to improve our overall club ranking. And that requires teams from 14 to 18 finishing in the top 100. So from the volleyball standpoint, we alluded to pressure a little bit earlier. We want all of our top teams in each age group to be in the top 100 nationally. So how can we grow, develop, improve training, if that's recommending strength and conditioning, working with a team builder in Christian Jones. We're trying to develop not just now the volleyball portion, but we're trying to develop the student athlete as a whole. Mental strength and conditioning, physical strength and conditioning, training the athletes to be able to perform on the volleyball court, preparing them for college. A lot and cumbersome at times because, again, we alluded to pressure. We want to not just be cool with being somewhere between 30 and 40 in the national rankings. We want to be in the 20s. We want to be in the teens.
Yeah.
How can we do that? From the business side, how can we continue to evolve as the club grows? For instance, we have a beginners program that we call Pee-wees and Juniors, similar to like a Volley Tots that you've probably heard from other clubs. And we had 40-ish when I started. We had maybe 40 the next year, and it's grown now to up over 130. How can we manage that group? How can we instill a love in volleyball, make sure that they have fun, and want to kind of graduate that program and move into trying out for a club team? Because that's kind of our own like feeder system.
Yeah.
So we want to do a really good job with that group. Well, 40 and 130 is a big difference. So we have to evolve how we manage that program. And we do. We have Bailey Jefferson. She does a great job. Now we have to do a good job of hiring more coaches because we now have three waves based on age. And if we're going to have 40 in every age group, we need to have plenty of coaches that Bailey can rely on to now train all of these kids and get them better and make sure that they're having fun. teach them about volleyball, teach them how to rotate. What's an overlap? All these things they have to develop. We've got to develop that. We got to do more outreach. If it's bringing players from other clubs that contact us and want to learn more about Sunshine, how can we bring them into the fold? Simple things from how can we better collect dues? How can we better bill and invoice people? A year ago, we created our first retail store, sunshinevolleyballshop.com. Before we had that, I was taking all the individual orders myself and ship it and getting those out to Third Degree, who does our uniforms. Well, now we're able to add. We want to add tote bags. We want to add water bottles. We want to add slides. We can,
I've heard you guys have your logo too. Isn't that another piece that you guys are known for? Is that you consistently refresh how that looks?
Carrie Klein's husband, Perry, designs the color scheme and the logo for Sunshine.
So cool.
That's really cool.
Every single year. So this year is going to look nothing like next year, which is good in a sense that we are always inventing ourselves from the gear standpoint. Yeah, we don't force our parents to buy things outside of uniforms, but they want to support. And mom and dad don't want to wear the same hoodie that daughter is wearing. Dad doesn't want to wear that. Dad wants like a polo. He wants maybe a quarter zip. So we have to continue to design more things, which is great, because this is now, from the business standpoint, this is now another revenue stream for the business side. Perry's ideas are wild, crazy, and awesome, and full of color. I'll take a step back and use more of the business logo and maybe put it on the chest so mom and dad can wear something while still supporting. We can do hats with sewn on patches that everybody wants, and it's continued to grow. We've even dabbled a little bit in creating our own apparel line. Perry can use his brain to create these cool designs that isn't associated with volleyball or Sunshine. It'll be its own standalone brand. I hope that we can launch that in 2025
Well, we'll be on the early adopter list.
You saw the mailer list, and we're going to be
this was
first two.
This design that I'm wearing now was 2 seasons ago. This design here, this was this current season. So you can see how continue to evolve, and sneak peek for next year is our uniforms are going to have a play off of Ferrari, and the red and the yellows and the blacks that Ferrari uses in our jerseys this upcoming year, in combination with some Italian professional leagues and how they have their piping and some of the stripes on their jerseys. I think now it's going to be more vertical striping as opposed to horizontal. So it's just going to be a whole new look, and I'm excited to launch that stuff. I'm excited to start working on our own apparel line.
Yeah.
It's new and exciting. It's cool.
Yeah.
Did we just break news here?
I know. I was like, is that an exclusive sneak peek?
Yeah, it's
just say yes, even if it's not.
Yeah, no, it is. But in the realm of how we're growing and developing, I think it's important to include what I love about the job the most is the autonomy. Carrie and Perry, trust me to do the job that I'm doing. Carrie is certainly very, very involved in the club as a whole, but giving me the resources to do the things that I want to do, permission to create a retail store. I couldn't have done that without her signing off on that, and in hopes of still growing our brand outside of the volleyball world. I can, on Shopify, I can look on a map and it'll show all the zip codes where people have ordered something from. Well, there's every dot is in Southern California. I'd like to start seeing that spread a little bit.
I was going to say, if you see some from Minneapolis area, I think
that would be awesome. If I see some from St. Louis, I'll know it's my parents, so that doesn't count.
We get some listeners we see from our parents' cities. We're like, well. All right.
We'll include the links to the team store, just because I know that we've been talking about, the logos, and especially refreshing a logo every single year too is a really unique venture and something that I don't think a lot of organizations would even consider. So I think there's going to be some interest there. So we'll include that in the show notes so people can kind of
Cool.
get an idea of what that looks like. But at the same time, I love the message it sends, because you're constantly evolving as an organization, and you want these players to also embody that same mentality of constantly evolving. So might as well embrace that visually too. I think that's really powerful.
It's a lot of trial and error, because I've never done any of this before. My degrees aren't in business, they were in science. So we're just kind of navigating this ourselves. And even from, adding Sunshine, but it doesn't say volleyball anywhere. So now we're growing that brand, even though, I'm going backwards. There's a silhouette of a
Subtle.
girl holding
Yeah.
a volleyball in the eye of Sunshine. That it's just something, really cool. And hopefully as we keep evolving, we would love to have our own facility, but in Southern California and Los Angeles County, it's really expensive.
Be a little tough.
So how can we have a home base and start adding strength and conditioning, having physical therapy, having recovery, just to take the training to the next level, as college and universities do, and other clubs with their facilities, up what they have. We need to follow suit as well, not just from the business side, but also from the training as well.
There's a really cool message there too, where when you're trying new things and like having the trust in your coaches, your staff, your administrators, as long as you know that they're aligned with the values and what you guys have set forth as a club, letting them try new things, giving them the autonomy and the trust to try new things. Because I think there could be some hesitancy to do that when you hear a new idea or anything like that. But going back to, if you know that they are about what they're about and they embody the values that you guys have, let them try something.
There's a lot of clubs that have maybe have adopted the sports performance model of everybody's training the same, everyone's doing the same drills through the same time of year, which is all fine. They've been very successful over the years, but there's more than one way to do things. With the experience level of a lot of our coaches, like I mentioned, if it's a Division I coach, if it's an Olympian, if it's a high school coach, if it's someone who wants to just get into coaching in general, the autonomy to coach their teams how they want, teach the skills within our confines, but everyone brings a little bit something different. And we like to say we're just adding to a player's toolbox. They're learning many different ways to play volleyball. Now with NLI, with the portal, with, I think, coaches coming and going, wouldn't be uncommon for a player now to play for 3 or 4 new coaches, either by hirings and firings or by transferring. So every place that they go, they might have to learn how to play volleyball
A different way.
a different way and in a different system. And it's all good so long as you're good at teaching whatever style and whatever system that you want to play.
I like that mentality of building a frame. Like, here's the frame that we want you guys to sort of just work within, because it's strong, it's proven, and it works. But then within that frame, there's your creative freedom. Like, bring what you bring. Give yourself, bring whatever makes you unique, and bring that to the experience. I love that message. We might need to type that up and frame it and put it in the office with the Sunshine Volleyball Club on there.
There's so many different experiences that our coaches have. And Heather Bound is one of our coaches, and she played in 3 Olympics and is a great coach. And she has experiences that I don't have. And I coached in the NCAA for almost 15 years. And all of our coaches are like that, where they have all these cool experiences that they can bring to the table, which I think makes them really special.
Kyle, I appreciate you taking us through and giving us that insight into Sunshine Volleyball Club, into your history, your experience, and chat with us today. We are going to wrap up with the way we wrap up with all of our guests, which is that question gauntlet that we have, which is 5 this or that questions. So if I say
oh gosh,
or team,
okay,
we're just asking you to pick one of the 2. And then 5 gut checks only, which is just going to be like, say, favorite vacation spot, first thing that comes to mind. So there's no thinking, just gut responses only. You ready?
Yep.
All right, we'll start easy. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Nachos or soup?
Soup.
Is it pronounced GIF or GIF?
GIF.
Great answer. Chocolate milk, are you going syrup or powder?
Syrup.
Okay, would you rather receive a letter from your future self or send a letter to your past self?
Send a letter.
Moving on to gut checks. Best sports movie.
Miracle.
Oh, make the Minnesota people happy.
That's right.
Favorite athlete growing up?
Michael Jordan.
Great answer again. Dream player to coach, if you could.
Wayne Gretzky.
Okay, what's your go-to warm-up drill?
Run-throughs.
Now, yeah, we obviously know what run-throughs are, but maybe for our dear listener, would you mind explaining what run-throughs are?
It's just a ball that players have to literally run to play. And a lot of our tournaments start in the morning. I'm going to toss balls that they'll have to run to and pass up to target.
Sounds like a good idea to start the workday too. We might implement that.
We're gonna start
Just
drilling people as soon as they walk in the door. Just like, all right, here we go, and throw a ball and say,
Yeah, you should do that.
What song would make you run through a brick wall?
Enter Sandman by Metallica.
I honestly think that's the second time we've heard that. I love that. That's awesome.
It's a good one.
All right, last one. What is the best sports advice you've ever received?
Don't take myself too seriously and be patient with yourself.
I love that. Yeah, mic drop.
Love that. Kyle, thank you so much for joining us. You made it. You made it through. How do you feel? You nailed it. Did great.
Piece of cake.
Yeah,
Easy peasy.
Yeah, easy.
We'll leave the floor here with you. If there's anything else you want to mention, promote, a quote that you like, anything you
Roasting
want,
of Simon.
Roast of maybe one host of this show in particular, if you wanted to, the floor is yours.
No, I think just thank you guys for having me, and I'm always happy to help when I can, and a lot of what you all do through SportsEngine really, helps my life and makes things easier and more efficient as I'm, navigating this whole business side that's new to me, and development it's been helpful. So thank you.
Awesome.
Absolutely. And we didn't ask him to say that. We genuinely didn't.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Unsolicited. Just don't turn the camera around. There's someone right behind him.
Yeah.
No, kidding.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Kyle. Appreciate the time. This was fun. We hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me again.
Big shout out again to Kyle for being on the show and spending time with us. That was a good interview, a longer interview than I expected.
It was longer than expected, which tends to happen with us, but
Yes.
it was good. It felt like we were just chatting with an old friend. He even gave us some crap a few times about rescheduling it a bunch. So we own that. We will own that.
Yes.
Yeah. But we got on there with him and it was great. And he, was a wealth of knowledge as promised, as advertised. So,
And as delivered,
and as signed, sealed, and delivered
just for you.
just for you, dear listener.
We're gonna have a karaoke episode. And we're just gonna do nothing but like talk in song titles. That's it.
And we'll all be living on a prayer after that.
Oh my God!
No,
man.
what is a sneak peek?
This has been another episode of For the Love of Sport. As always, feel free to send an email out to us at ftlospod. We love hearing from you, dear listener. So send over your stories, your debates, questions you have from the pitch, the court, the ice, the field, the studio, wherever you are. And we'll bring them to our wonderful little brain trust and our great little crew here, ftlospod at nbcunion.com. Who is that brain trust?
Ooh, the brain trust is you, Simon, me, Marie. We've got Kelsey, who really runs everything.
She's amazing.
Producer, marketer,
Yep.
person that is in charge of logistics.
An exceptional person.
Great person.
And you know what?
She's
And-
not in the
and
room right
not
now.
in the
so
room right now.
we're
Not looking
not
at us.
being held hostage
Yeah,
to say
no,
these nice
she's-
things
But she's
at all.
great and fantastic.
Okay, yep, we got a thumbs up. Okay,
we're
continue
good.
on.
Yeah.
We got Joe. He also helps. He does the fun little games at the beginning. He helps us promote this bad boy. And then Mr. Troy Stone, wonderful sound engineer who brings our lovely voices to your ears twice a month.
True story. And our venerable video producer, which is Leslie
yeah.
Albano. Thank you again. And for the video format.
Yeah, head over to SportsEngine Play, the home of
Sports?
sports streaming.
That's right.
It's not trademarked or coined, but we're testing it out right now. If you've made it this far, let us know if
Don't
you like.
steal it from us. And always remember, if you're on your way to your next practice, your game, or are on your way to one right now, thank the volunteers, your coaches, instructors, officials, everyone who gave their time to make it happen. And above all else, have some fun out there.
Have some fun. Why?
Because it's for the love of sport.
It's for the love of sport. We'll see you next time.